السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. الحمد لله حمدا كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه كما يحب ربنا ويرضى. وصلى الله على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. Thank you guys for joining me this morning for another morning reminder, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. I have some announcements to make, but before I do that, just wanted to give everyone, including myself, a reminder. Someone asked me this morning, as I put a post out, shout out to Brother Thabit Majid. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward him generously and immensely for taking snippets of some of my material and posting it, for the benefit of the believers, alhamdulillah. He posted a snippet where I was talking about people not being prepared for marriage, people lying on their resume, right? And there's a lot of people who do that. They show up at the sit down, they show up saying they're ready for marriage, but they haven't done anything in preparation for marriage, both men and women. They haven't done much to prepare for marriage. And so basically, when you show up and you say you're ready for marriage and you haven't done much to prepare for marriage, you are lying on your resume. And you're about to, mess somebody's life up. But someone commented underneath that post and said, well, how do you prepare for marriage? What is the process of preparing yourself for marriage? That is as the Prophet ﷺ said to one of his companions, لَقَدْ سَأَلْتَ عَنِ الْعَظِيمِ, you've asked about something that is very extensive. That's going to require a lot of time, energy, and lecturing. And I know that you guys might be at work. I have things that I need to do. So I'm not going to be here all day long talking about how to prepare yourself for marriage. But I will give you one tip. I will give you one tip to help you prepare yourself for marriage. Is the scholars, they have a saying, لِكُلِّ فَنٍ لُغَةٍ. لِكُلِّ فَنٍ لُغَةٍ. Every field or every science, every field of knowledge has its own language. What does that mean? Every field of knowledge has its own language. What do you guys think that means? What does that mean? لِكُلِّ فَنٍ لُغَةٍ. Every science, every field of knowledge, every specialty has its own language. What do you guys think that means? We're having a conversation here. What do you think that means? لِكُلِّ فَنٍ لُغَةٍ. Every field of knowledge has its own language. It means that every science, subject-specific terminology. I like that. Very good. Every science, every realm has a language that is particular to it. Specific terminologies that the people that specialize in that particular field use that particular language. So if you go into the medical field, they speak English, right? In America, the medical field, they speak English. But if you were to listen to the terminologies that they're using terminologies that is the English language, but they're using it in a manner that is specific to the people in the medical field. You wouldn't understand what it means. Context give words meaning. So if you can understand the word in English, but in what context are they using it? So in the medical field, they have a certain terminologies that are specific to people in the medical field that only they understand. When you go to psychiatrists, therapists, clinicians, people who work in the mental health field, They have terminologies that are specific for people that operate in that field. You and I may not understand what those terminologies mean because we may not be a part of that particular group. So every field of knowledge has its own language. If you're talking about engineering, they have special terminology that engineers understand. When you talk about Islamic knowledge, scholars in this field of Islamic knowledge in different sciences, whether fiqh, Islamic law, whether aqidah, Islamic theology, every single field has its own language that the people that are involved in that or specialize in that particular field understand that language. You got the point, right? So now when we transition over to the field of marriage, marriage has a language. Marriage, the realm of marriage, and anybody who is operating in the space of marriage, people who are married, they use a certain language. You guys follow me? People who are married, they use a certain language that only people who are married understand. You understand? Like what? Give me some examples of language, terminologies that are specific to people who are married. That if a married couple uses this language within their marriage, it is already understood. It's understood. I'll give you an example. Married people don't use I. Married people don't use I. Married people use we. Because that is the language of marriage. That is the language of people who are operating as partners in a marriage. They don't use I. They use we. The only time you use I is when you're talking about your feelings and what your partner did to offend you. So you would say, that makes me feel. When you do this, that makes me feel. You use me in that context because you're putting the focus on your feelings, not necessarily on the actions. You're trying to evoke, you're trying to, gain sympathy, empathy from your partner, that if they love you and they care about you, the moment you say, when you do this or when you say this, it makes me feel like this, immediately they hone in on that, they zone in on that, and they begin to learn and understand that this particular behavior or this particular speech affects you in that way. So let me take a deeper look at that. You understand? That's the only time you use I. But in a general sense, in the world of marriage, married couples have to use we. I don't think that would be a good idea for us. I don't think that would be a good move or good look for us. That is the language of marriage. And so part of the preparation for marriage is learning how to change your language to a lugha al-ijtima'i badalan min al-lugha al-fardiyya. You want to use language that denotes or connotes collective group language rather than an individual language. I don't like this. I'm not feeling this. I don't want to be a part of this. I. When you start to use that language, you have separated yourself from the partnership and you are operating as an individual within your marriage. You understand? That means that your mentality is still the mentality of a single person. You have not transitioned from the person that is operating as a single individual, only concentrating on what's important to you. You haven't transitioned from that to the thinking of a person who is in a partnership. You guys follow me? Am I making sense? Does that make sense? We still use the language of people who are single. When you're single, you can say, I don't like this. I'm not feeling this. I'm not doing that. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. You can use that type of language because you are only responsible for yourself. But when you are in a marriage, you are in a partnership, you are part of a larger group, part of a larger organization here. There's replete with, another spouse, children, grandchildren in some instances, and others that you have kind of brought into the family to take care of. You don't have the luxury of using I language, the language or the language of a single person as an individual. When you file your taxes, you file joint. You file your taxes as a couple, right? You filing joint or you filing as a couple. You don't file as single individuals so you can get more money. You're filing as a joint, as a couple, so that you have to pay the government less money. Because as a couple, then you can add all of your expenses and everything that you've accrued over the year, within the year, and you can use that, to your advantage. I don't know, that might go over some people's heads, but, when you're married, you're not filing as an individual. You're filing as a joint, as a couple. You guys follow me? The language flows. That's the language of people who are married. People who are married don't use I statements. They use we. Us. I'll give you an example from the Quran. Remember when Asiya found Musa as a baby floating in the Nile River, right? Some of the soldiers, they saw this baby in a basket floating in the Nile River, and they brought the baby to Asiya. Asiya immediately looked at the baby and fell in love with this child. And that was because Asiya couldn't have any children on her own, right? This is the ni'mah, the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that Allah deprived her throughout all of these years from having children of her own, only so she could lay eyes on Musa and immediately fall in love with this child and save his life. So sometimes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's qadr, we may not understand it, but there is some hikmah, there is wisdom connected to it. Sometimes he lets us in on that wisdom, and sometimes we would never know the wisdom behind it. We just accept it. But think about it. All of these years, Asiya never had a child. And then immediately she sees this baby, her eyes lands on this child, and she immediately falls in love with this child and protects this child from being killed. Just imagine if she had children of her own. She had children of her own. Perhaps that story would have gone a lot differently. Perhaps she would have saw Musa as just another child, as just another baby, because she already had love for her own children. It's rare that a woman has children of her own and is able to love another child outside of her own biological children the way that she loves her own children. But by depriving this woman of having children of her own, that love is reserved. That love is reserved. And so then she sees this baby, and immediately all of the love that she would have had for her own children now falls onto this child, ultimately saving the child's life. This is the hikmah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And subhanallah. So she sees the child, and immediately, as soon as she sees the child, she says to Fir'aun, قُرَّةَ عَيْنٍ لِي وَلَكَ. Perhaps he will be the pleasure of my eye and your eye. نَتَّخِذَهُ وَلَدًا. And we can take him as a child. Yet نَتَّخِذَهُ وَلَدًا. لَا تَقْتُلُوهُ. We can take him as a child. You see the language of marriage? It was natural. That came out naturally. We can take him as a child. She said he will be the pleasure of my eye and the pleasure of your eye. Perhaps we can take him as a child, and he will bring some benefit to us. She used the language of married people, and that is we. Perhaps this might be a benefit for us. Am I making sense? You guys got it? The language of married people is we, not I. So if you are frustrated with your spouse, you don't say, I'm not feeling this situation. I don't think that this situation is working out. You say, I don't think this situation is beneficial for us. I'm not sure how this situation is benefiting us. You put it back on the partnership. You put it back on both of you because you both made the decision to go into the situation. So you have to learn how to change the mentality. So preparing yourself for marriage is part mental, part psychological, part emotional, part physical, part financial, part spiritual, which is why I don't have the time to elaborate on all of it because it's too nuanced. There's too much to unpack. But preparation for marriage, let me give you the categories. There is mental preparation. That's what we're talking about now. Changing your mentality, the way that you think about marriage. Mental preparation. Physical preparation. That means that when you get up as a man and you go to the gym, right? You go to the gym. I just came back from the gym. You go to the gym and work out. It's not just so that you look nice when you look at yourself in the mirror, but it's also so that when your spouse looks at you, they are pleased with you when they look at you. And that from you taking care of your body and taking care of yourself, you are able to satisfy your spouse. You are thinking as you are eating healthy, you're working out, you're trying to maintain your health. You are thinking about how you are going to benefit your spouse with everything that you are doing. It's not about you. Yes, you want to stay healthy. Yes, you want to eat properly. Yes, you want to work out. Yes, you want to exercise for yourself, but it's not just about you. How does your spouse benefit from that? And this goes for men and women. How does your spouse benefit from that? So you have many men, many women who could care less about how they look physically. They don't concern themselves with how they look physically because in their mind, my spouse married me, I'm married, I ain't got to do all of that. No, you do. You do. You do. Who told you you don't have to keep up, the way that you came in? Obviously, your body and, how you look is going to change over the years, but that should be just as a result of the natural process of aging, not because you gave up on yourself. You have many men and women, they don't care about what they eat. They don't care how they look. They don't exercise, haven't been in the gym, haven't exercised in God knows when. And you never stop to think, how is this affecting my spouse? Men are physical creatures, so we are definitely paying attention. We may not care, but that doesn't mean that if we had it our way, we wouldn't want this or wouldn't want that. But you have many women that give up on themselves. 1 child, 2 children, 3 children, 4 or 5 children. And it's like, you know what? I give up. I done had all of his kids. He got to live with the body that I have. No, that's not fair. That's not fair. You have given yourself a pass to give up on yourself, and vice versa for the men. You might think, man, I'm tired. I get up, I go to work every day. I provide room, I provide a house, I provide food, I provide everything. No, you still owe your spouse the duty of taking care of your body, taking care of your physical, so that person still enjoys looking at you. And although in a marriage, a man and a woman might say, I don't care what my spouse look like, I love them. But if you had it your way, let's be honest. Let's be honest. If we were having an honest conversation, which I'm not going to do, because if I use the language that I want to use right now, a lot of your feelings are going to be hurt. Some of you, your feelings are going to be extremely hurt, because the truth, it burns. It burns. And I'm trying to learn how to be more diplomatic rather than too straightforward, because I realize that, a lot of people just can't handle the truth when it's given out like that. But you still owe it to your spouse. You still owe it to them. Even if you don't want to do it for yourself. There is nothing more difficult for a man, especially at my age, than to get up and go to the gym in the morning. Lord, Allah knows. Allah knows I don't want to go to the gym. But, here again, it's not just for me. It's not just for me. As a man, you don't want to take your shirt off and your wife look at you and say, oh, I see you hitting the gym. Okay, I see you. Come here. Let me feel your arms. Let me feel. That means everything. That helps to boost your ego as a man. But it also shows your spouse that I still care enough about you to work on me. I still care enough about you to work on me. It's not just me going to the gym for me. It's me going to the gym for you. As a woman, you don't want to come out of the shower or, be dressed a certain way and have your husband almost attack you when he sees you. Please, that's what women dream of. That's what women dream of. A man just attacks you when he sees you. You coming out of the shower and he just attacks you. Because he can't help himself. You are still attractive to him. Because the day you can come out of the shower and walk past him and he doesn't touch you, he doesn't grab you, he doesn't, then that's gone. Because we are physical creatures, make no mistake about that. And the day that you can come out of the shower or you can walk past your husband, with a certain outfit on, and it does nothing for him. He doesn't grab you. He doesn't smack you in a certain place, or he doesn't, accost you. And he just lets you walk right on by. Just know the interest is gone. The interest is gone. Yeah. Just being honest, man. This is honest conversation amongst adults. Honest conversation amongst adults. So you have the mental preparation. You have the physical preparation. You have the spiritual preparation. When you're learning about the rights, don't learn about your rights in the marriage. Learn about the rights that you are responsible for giving the other person. And ask yourself, can I fulfill that? This is what Islam says a woman has to give to her husband. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Can I fulfill that? And it doesn't matter if it's the right brother or the wrong brother. Can you fulfill that? Because you don't get to determine if it's the right brother, the wrong brother. The right brother may start out the right brother and may turn into the wrong brother, but can you still fulfill those rights? And vice versa. As a man, Allah says, Islam says, the rights of the woman are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Can you fulfill that? And that's not contingent on whether or not the sister is, being obedient or not. Divorce is in your hands if you feel that you need to do that. But as long as you are married to her, you owe her those rights. Can you fulfill that? Do you even know what those rights are? So it's not about what Islam says this you have, what you are, given. It's about what you have to give to someone else. can I do that? That's spiritual preparation. Am I cool with this? Someone says, and here again, this is about lying on your resume. We say, yeah, I'm ready for marriage. And then when you say, okay, well, Islam says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you got to give all of this to him. Oh, I ain't doing all of that. But then you lied on your resume. You lied on your resume. You said you were ready for marriage. But you're not ready for marriage. You're ready to do marriage your way. That's not the way that it works. You want to do marriage your way. That's not the way that it works. You don't show up at your job doing what you want to do on your job. You do what the job description requires. Right or wrong? You don't go to work and just do what you want to do. You might do what you want to do within the context of the work description, but you still do overall what the work requires of you. You don't go and do what you want to do. It doesn't work like that anywhere. So how is it that we come into marriage where Islam says you have to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we say, nah, I ain't doing all of that. I'm going to do it this way. And if the person don't like it, then they can keep it pushing. That's not the way that marriage works. You are clearly not ready for marriage. You're clearly not ready for marriage. So there's mental preparation. There's physical preparation. There's spiritual preparation. And there's financial preparation. Because here again, when we merge our lives together, that also includes our finances. So what you need to do is pinch off some of what you have and go open you a separate bank account and you tuck that away. And then you take a portion of that, and that's what I'm investing into my marriage. And we build from there. And that goes for men as well. Don't come in with all your finances, man. Take a section, take a portion of your wealth that you are ready to invest into your marriage, and use that to begin investing into your marriage. And you take a portion of that you've worked for prior to you meeting this person, and you put that to the side. I don't believe that, people should go into their marriage with everything that they've worked for prior to meeting this person, and now I'm giving all of that to you. No, I'm going to take a portion of that, and I'm going to use that to start from here, and we build from here. We build from here together. But there's financial preparation. We have to start moving as a family financially. That means that I don't get to just go and buy stuff, whenever I want, especially if I know that I have bills or I have other responsibilities in front of me. Those responsibilities, financial responsibilities, come first. That's how we move together as a team. So these are all the preparations that go into marriage. And I think that you guys got the point. It's not about the information that we don't have. It's about the preparation and the determination to carry out that information. That's the problem. So with that being said, as a reminder, November 7th, November 8th, here in Delaware, Wilmington, Delaware, at Masjid Al-Kawthar, we will be hosting our 2-day marriage boot camp. So if you enjoy this talk and other talks, please come out and benefit from the speakers that we will have, the presenters, the doctors, the professionals that we will have, inshallah ta'ala, for those 2 days, November 7th and November 8th, inshallah ta'ala. All right, this will be our 2-day intensive marriage boot camp. So Friday will be a more relaxed day, but there will still be, learning going on. But Saturday will be intense. Saturday will start at 11 a.m. We'll start after Salatul Fajr. We'll have Salatul Fajr at the masjid. We'll have breakfast. And then I think the first workshop starts at 11 a.m. The first workshop starts at 11 a.m. inshallah ta'ala. I will post a link for those of you who want to register for certain workshops. Some of the presenters do have links where you can register to be a part of their workshop. I will post those links on my Facebook page, inshallah ta'ala. You can click the link and it'll take you directly to the site where you can register to be a part of that particular presenter's workshop. All right, so there will be 6 workshops on Saturday, starting at 11 a.m., going all the way to Salatul Isha. We have Sister Zafira Michelle Davis, who's also a registered licensed therapist. We have Dr. Rashida Abdul Khabir, who's also licensed therapist. We have Dr. Nisa Muhammad, who's also professional in her field. We have Brother Hassan Clay, formerly of that Clay couple, who is also a professional in that field. We have Imam Akil Ingram, who is also a professional in that realm, right? And so all of these presenters will be present for those 2 days, inshallah ta'ala. That's Friday, November 7th and Saturday, November 8th. So mark your calendar. You can go to our website, www.Roda Islamic Center of Delaware.com. You can go to our website to go register. Inshallah ta'ala, you can pay directly from the website. If you want to vend, there's also vending opportunities for those of you who want to vend. Vending will pretty much be inside because it's going to be cold outside. So the vendors will be inside. On Friday, there will be lunch after Jumu'ah. And then there will be a light dinner on Friday. There will be breakfast and lunch and dinner on Saturday as well. All of this will be taking place at Masjid Al-Kawthar in Wilmington, Delaware. Don't miss this. We are not streaming it live, so there will be no live option. There will be no Zoom option. You got to find a way. As I told you guys before, I'm doing away with all of this, streaming it live so people can just, remain comfortable where they are. No, catch a flight. You catch flights at any other place. You catch flights to Miami. You catch flights to overseas. You catch flights anywhere else you want to go for leisure. But you won't catch a flight when it comes to learning your deen. So this whole idea, when it comes to me, the whole idea of streaming stuff live and giving Zoom options, I am not doing that. I'm not doing that. Number one, it is an added stress. And number two, it continues to allow people to be comfortable not seeking knowledge. The scholars, they say, La yunalu al-ilm bi rahat al-jasad. You will never acquire knowledge by relaxing. You will never acquire knowledge of the deen by relaxing. You got to get uncomfortable. You got to travel. If information means that much to you, then you will travel. You will make preparations to travel. And don't say, well, I don't have a mahram, I can't travel without a mahram. You travel all the time without a mahram. You travel all the time to the places that you want to go for leisure. You travel all the time when you want to without a mahram. Now, all of a sudden, when it comes to seeking knowledge of the religion, now we want to apply religious rules. No. So, that is November 7th, November 8th. You can go to our website, www.RodaIslamicCenterofDelaware.com. You can register. We don't have a room block necessarily because the hotels are pretty expensive during this time. So if you plan on staying, you need to book your hotel now. There are many hotels in the downtown Wilmington area. You can just Google hotels in downtown Wilmington. You can Google hotels by the riverfront. All of that is within, 10 minutes, 10-minute drive from the masjid. So you can just Google any hotels in the area, inshallah ta'ala, but I wouldn't wait too long to get my hotel room because the prices of the hotels are going up. And so therefore you want to make sure that you get your space early. There's a DoubleTree also in Wilmington. That's where many of our speakers will be staying, inshallah ta'ala, as that's the lowest rate. I think they had rooms for like 160, 169. And that's probably the cheapest you're going to get in the downtown Wilmington area. All right. So that is November 7th, November 8th. If you're vending, you can come in on Friday morning, November 7th, and you can set up Friday morning in the masjid, inshallah ta'ala. Not in the masjid, but they have a multi-purpose room, which we will be using for all of the events that will be taking place. So everything will be done in the multi-purpose room, inshallah ta'ala. All right. You guys have any questions, comments? You can email, inshallah ta'ala, and I'll be more than willing to answer your questions. Jazakumullahu khairan wa sallallahu ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallama tasliman kathira wa akhiru da'wana an alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Also, don't forget about our winter conference, which is coming up in December 26th, 27th, and 28th, which will be at the BWI Marriott in Maryland. We have a large host of speakers that, will be coming to join us, shuyukh, scholars, imams that will be joining us from all over, alhamdulillah. This will be taking place December 26th, 27th, and 28th at the BWI Marriott in Maryland, inshallah ta'ala. The flyer for that is a preliminary flyer that is available, but the main flyer will be out in a few days, inshallah ta'ala. And that way you'll see all of the speakers who will be joining us, and the lectures, the titles, and some of the events that will be taking place. So come out with your children, come out with your family. We will have babysitting available. So if you want to drop your children off at daycare, we do have daycare available so that you can come and listen to the lecture without any disturbance or having to worry about, children crying. So there will be no children allowed in the lecture hall. So please make sure you check your children into daycare so that, inshallah ta'ala, everybody can benefit from the lecture. We'll have Sheikh Abdulaziz from East Orange, Masjid Ashab al-Yamin. We will have Imam Abu Usama, Mufti Munir, Abu Dhahira. These are all graduate students of the Islamic University. We'll have so many more scholars and imams joining us, inshallah ta'ala. So you don't want to miss this. This is December 26th, 27th, and 28th at the BWI Marriott in Maryland. Jazakumullahu khairan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.